This is crazy. This is my 4th attempt to go live. I tried twice on YouTube. I tried once on Facebook. And hopefully this is the last time. Because it's getting kind of frustrating to figure out what in the world is going on. So maybe it was a cellular issue. Maybe it was the fact that there were like 30 apps open up on my mobile device. That's probably one of the reasons it was like that. So we're back. We had a technical issue. It was scary. Everyone was freaking out. But it's no longer the case. Now we're back in business. And we can have the anticipated discussion. So Chloe has left a really great message. Says, how do you recommend to get your name out there as a musician? I've worked my whole life, Chloe says. My whole life I've worked and I've tried to get my music known. And now that's a great question, Chloe, because what ends up happening is you can spend a lot of time in the practice room developing your craft on your instrument, but if nobody knows that you exist or you're around, then you're not going to be getting the call. So one of the ways that you can be introduced into the world is meeting as many people as possible. So what I recommend is that you go to different jam sessions, open mic nights, rehearsals, any place where your instrument is welcomed. You want to be there and you want to meet as many people as possible. And create your own scene, create your own band, create your own environment. And that will also be a great tool for you to hire people that you want to network with in your own band. So that's one approach that I talked about in another video that actually does work pretty well, okay? Now, one of the things that's really great about being a musician is the skills that you learn as a musician make you a better person in general and enable you to be able to learn almost anything. This is what I've really realized with just learning the trombone, is nothing has been harder as far as the dedication and the time put into learning an instrument as the trombone. So because of that, and because I went through that whole process, I am now able to learn other things and apply it to other parts of life. Especially learning how to edit videos on the internet. Music production. Stuff that I never formally learned. I was able to use the skills from learning an instrument and apply it to other ways of life. The discipline, people always will say stuff like, oh, that's really hard, I don't know if I can do that. And then and people telling me this are other instrumentalists. And I'll be like, you learned an instrument. Nothing's as more challenging as that. That takes the most dedication and most time to do. So anything after learning an instrument actually is pretty much of a piece of cake, you know? So, for example, I was at a rehearsal and someone's like, man, doing an album, that's pretty crazy in time investment to do that. It's a lot of work. And then I'm like, you're freaking playing the instrument at a very high level. Do you think anything's more of a commitment than what you have already done? So, you know, it's kind of funny. Because if you learn an instrument, you really much can learn anything else in the world. That's kind of one of the great things about learning music is the discipline it teaches you to learn other things. That's what it's kind of an epiphany I've had with learning the trombone. So by the way, folks, I am actually writing a book right now. I'm writing a book. Hopefully it'll be out in about a year. But it is actually, I can't quite say the title yet, but I really think it's going to be something that every musician is going to want to know the information inside this book. So really excited to roll out some more developments as they start to happen with it. And that's how we go. That's how we go. How many of you are in Los Angeles area? I'm putting on a show on May 13th at the Mint in Los Angeles at 11:30 at night, closing the show. It's the Journey to the World tour for my album, my debut album. So we're doing that show. It's going to be fun. So if all of you that live in LA or the LA area or like to drive out to it, it would be really great to see you all. It's at the Mint. There's information on it on my website. I put all my shows on my website. Everything's on my website, everyone. Everything is on my website. PaulTheTrombonist.com has everything. I update it all the time, so it's very current. All the shows, the videos, the equipment I use. People always ask me what equipment I'm using. That's always on the website. Everything. I list the entire equipment, everything I use. Anything from like the audio equipment to the video equipment. See, this is misleading. It looks like I'm using this microphone for this broadcast, but really I'm not. It's just all from the mobile device. This is just here for other video setups. By the way, you want to see some of this behind the scenes of some of the video setups? I got the lighting. This is how the lighting goes. You see I got a lighting there. Got some trombones in the background. Got some lighting. That's kind of how it's set up for my videos. David's asking, can you give us a flavor of what will be in the book? Well, David, I can tell you this. Inside the book is all the knowledge that I've learned from the past 10 years of an online presence to help you as a musician and to help your musical career. So I can tell you that much. And it's something that I have not actually seen ever been published, that people are always asking me about. So I just wanted to put it all into a book and have it for everyone, so all of you, because I think everyone's going to find value in this book, okay? So it's going to take a little while to piece it all together, but I'm definitely working on it, and it's definitely a goal of mine to make it available for all of you. How do the skills learned from the trombone help with the music production, Steven's asking? Well, because learning is a very much the same process no matter what you learn. It's all about one step at a time. Everything is always one step at a time. You can't get overwhelmed with all the different things when you learn something new. It's all just a little step at a time. So the best way to grow and to get better at something is to do a little tiny piece. You want to isolate a little tiny piece. For example, let's say you're working on your time. Let's say you're working on your sense of rhythm and your feel isn't quite there. The best way to work on your rhythm and your time is to do it on one note. Then you're not overwhelmed with what other notes to play. Then you're not overwhelmed with the chord changes. And if you just focus on one note and really get your feel going, and you always want to record yourself so you can listen to it, that is actually going to help it when you add the other variables in the playing. So it's all about isolating one step at a time, building it. So like, for example, if I were to learn something on the internet as far as how to do production, I wouldn't get overwhelmed with the big picture. I would start step by step. I would open up the software, and then if I had a question, I would type into Google or YouTube how to da-da-da-da. Then once I learned that, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Then the next question I have, how to da-da-da-da. One step at a time. Never get overwhelmed with everything until you figure out step by step. And that's kind of how it all works. All right? Some other questions. By the way, I put up a video on my YouTube channel like yesterday. Would love to see you all there. There's a lot of stuff that happens on my YouTube channel that doesn't happen on this Facebook page. So if you have a YouTube account, you probably want to subscribe to it, because usually on Tuesdays and Saturdays a new video is uploaded. And it's a channel for people that love music. And the same with this page. If you love music, this is the place for you. It's for people that love music, okay? So it's everything involved with music. We listen to music, we talk about music with other guests, we feature other musical artists, we talk about production, we talk about how to improvise, how to do anything related to music. It's just the love of music. We're just sharing our love of music. That's what this page is about. That's what my channel is about. That's what everything on the internet that I'm associated with is about, is our love for music. So the last video is the top 5 richest musicians that are alive. We're counting down, and it was really fun to research all that. So it's youtube.com/Paul the Trombonist, and you can watch that video. And if you go check out that video, be sure to say that you're from Facebook, so I know that you came from Facebook in the comment sections, okay? What do I think is the most important thing in learning improvisation? Hansa asks. I think the most important thing in learning improvisation is you want to learn your major scales and your arpeggios front to back as much as possible, more than you can ever fathom, in every which way, shape, or form that you can, starting from any note, ending on any note, every inversion possible on the arpeggios, and learn that incredibly well. And from that knowledge, you shall be able to improvise a very meaningful and great solo. You can even improvise just using chord tones and not using scales. So just from the arpeggios, only using arpeggios, you should be able to improvise a meaningful solo. For example, I will take a blues, and I will not use any scales at all. And I'll just use the arpeggios. So here's the arpeggios for the blues. 1, 3, 5, flat, 7. And then you go to the 4 chord, it's the same. Right? So I'm just going to take the arpeggios for the blues, and I'll probably do like a 2-octave span, so it'll be like... I'll use like that range, and only those notes. And then I'm going to find the half-step relationships from one chord to the next. So I'm going to find the half-step relationships between which chord tone switches to the other chord tone. And it's all about connecting the dots. And only using that information, not using any scales whatsoever, and just the arpeggios, you could be able to improvise a meaningful solo. And in fact, the old swing guys from the old swing era, they were just thinking arpeggios. They weren't even thinking really scales at that time. Okay? So, take the blues. That whole chorus, it was 12 measures long, was only using chord tones. I did not even touch the scales. I didn't even do the scales. I just used chord tones and the little half-step relationships. It's all about connecting the dots from one chord tone to the next. And then when you hit those chord tones from the half-step relationships, as they switch, your ear hears the harmony. Even though it's a single line, you hear the chord progression in your brain, and that's what's called playing through the changes. That's what playing through the changes is when you hear those little half-step relationships with the chord tones, you hear the harmony even though it's a single line. So you can take that on any tune. Let's take any tune. What do we got? Let's take any tune. Here's a tune, No Greater Love. I'm not going to play any scales. I'm not going to play anything other than chord tones and guide tones, which are the half-step relationships between the chord tones. I only use the chord tones still, and you're hearing the harmony. You're hearing the harmony because it's just single line, chord, arpeggiation, half-step relationships, And then once that's comfortable, you should be able to do that over any tune, where you just take the arpeggios. That's why it's so important to learn your arpeggios, because technically, you could possibly never even use scales and any other device other than arpeggiation and those half-step relationships and play over any tune. And it's all about connecting the dots. In the most meaning, you don't want to have like huge jumps. You don't want to have like big jumps. You want it to make sense. Arpeggiation in the different inversion sense. Because if it's jumping all over the place like this, it doesn't sound melodic to you. What makes things melodic are the stepwise motions and the arpeggiation movements. That's what makes it sound melodic. So you could take that over any tune, and I think once that's comfortable for you, once you feel very comfortable with just like doing arpeggios and doing the half-step relationships with the connecting the dots, then you can start adding in the scales. And then it's going to add another dynamic to your solo and your improvisation. But you can take anything. Like, let's take two chords. Let's take C major to F minor. So I'll do 2 octaves of that. I'm just going to loop those 2 chords. And not even using scales, you should be able to improvise in a meaningful way. I just took 2 chords. So that's another great thing to do, is just to isolate like the switch between 2 chords instead of like looking at the whole song. Or just take 1 chord. Take 1 freaking chord. Have C major looping, going over and over again, and see how much you can do just with the arpeggio of C major. So you want to get comfortable from the root position arpeggio, which is 1, 3, 5, 7, 1. And then you just want to do the different inversions of that. And then I'm basically just going 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, 1. And then you do 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, 1. And you do those are the inversions, just starting on the different order of the chord tones. And then you get comfortable with that, you just do that in every key. There's only 12 notes in music. So you only got 12 notes in music, which means you only have 12 major scales in music, which means you have only 12 major arpeggios in music. And once you learn those 12 major scales inside and out, then automatically you already know your 7 other modes, your 7 other scales. And then automatically you know all of the other chord tones. For the arpeggios of dominant chords, you know all your minor arpeggios. You know everything is inside the major scales. So it's very important to know the major scales. Then you take C major, and then all of a sudden, you can add that major scale inside that C major tonality. Tonality is just the universe of what major key you're in, or minor key, or whatever mode you're in. And then we add the major scale to the C tonality. And then you got your arpeggio. Then you mix and match these bad boys. You go back and forth. And one thing you want to do is you want to always start your idea on a chord tone, a 1, 3, 5, 7, and you want to always end your idea on a chord tone, 1, 3, 5, 7. That's what you want to do. because that's what's going to make you hear the harmony. You don't want to start your idea on like a 4 or something, because that's going to confuse the listener. It's going to sound like you don't know what you're doing. So when you apply the scale and the arpeggio, all of a sudden you have freedom inside that tonality. And then that's C major. You can jam out on it all day. And then one way to get really comfortable with the major scale is to run all the modes inside it too. So you just do that, okay? And then you can do the different patterns. Whatever. All that stuff inside it to get more comfortable with the muscle memory. It's muscle memory. So that's how we do it. Tips for transcriptions. Daniel's asking, and I do have a tip for transcriptions. One of the tips that helped me the most with transcriptions is don't even worry about the pitches. When you're transcribing, don't worry about the pitches first. So this is the step. You want to be able to sing along to the solo as great as you possibly can, where you can sing every note. Then, once you can sing every note, you're just going to write out the rhythms. You're not going to write out the pitches yet, because then you're not going to feel so overwhelmed. Just write out the rhythms first. And then it's really very simple. You start to figure out where to fill in the pitches after the rhythms are all written out. It's one of those things. So that's how it goes. Anything else? That's how it goes. I hope to see you all on the YouTube channel. My last video could use some love from you all. It's up. It's the previous video. I think it was put up on Tuesday. So definitely could use some love on the YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/PaulTheTrombonist. All the equipment I use, my trombones, my mouthpieces, all that's listed on my website, PaulTheTrombonist.com. My debut album that charted on Amazon bestseller list, thanks to you all, in the top 100 for jazz and electronic, is out. Journey to the World. If you could leave a review on that after you listen to it, that would be awesome as well. So you can just, all that's on my website. Everything's on my website. Where to go for my music, where to go for my videos, where to go for what equipment I use. It's everything that you could possibly want in the Paul the Trombonist universe is at paulthetrombonist.com. That's all it is. Be sure to get notified on these live streams. Be sure to just keep staying awesome, because you're some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life are the people that are on this page. And there's really not much else to say other than check out this. It's backwards. That way you know I'm not really playing left-handed. When you see text that's backwards, that means it's not me. It's the way that the camera is situated. I am left-handed though. Let's see what happens when I try to play left-handed. It's going to look right-handed to you. Let's see what happens. Oh my gosh. This is crazy. This is crazy. It sounds weird. It sounds weird. It sounds weird, and it feels weird and not comfortable. So we go back to the normal way. The way that we grew up playing for so long. What about this way? That's an interesting thing. What if you went to a gig like that and played the trombone like that? Thank you. You're really great. I'm wishing you a great day. I want to wish you an amazing day. I want to wish you one of the greatest days you've ever had in your life. Because you deserve it. And the contents of this thumb drive will be revealed in the next live stream of fun where dreams come true. So you definitely want to get notified, because what I'm going to do is after it's broadcast, I'm going to delete it. So only the people that saw it in real time will know the contents of what's on this thumb drive. So that's something to look forward to. I know I'm looking forward to it. So you take care.